The courtroom wasn't ready for the kind of silence she carried in with her. Cameras hummed, lights glared, and a dozen murmurs folded into one as the defendant stepped forward. A woman wrapped in defiance. Oversized sunglasses balanced like armor, a designer bag swinging from her arm. Her name was Karen Dalton, though online she called herself the Truth Queen, famous for viral clips mocking authority. Today she wasn't filming content. She was standing before Judge Judy, and before the day was over, millions would see a very different kind of video. The case seemed trivial on paper, a harassment complaint after a traffic altercation. But the tension in the air suggested something heavier. Karen smirked as she approached the podium, scanning the gallery as if auditioning for attention. She tapped the mic, muttered, "Hope this thing works better than her attitude." And the first ripple of discomfort spread through the room. Even the bailiff's jaw tightened. Judy didn't move. She simply lifted her gaze, expression carved from discipline, letting the remark hang long enough to expose its weight. Karen thrived on noise. Silence made her twitch. "What?" she said, forcing a laugh. "I was kidding. Relax, it's daytime TV, right?" The gallery chuckled uneasily. The judge did not. She folded her hands and spoke so quietly the microphone strained to catch it. "Ms. Dalton, this isn't daytime television. This is a courtroom. Your mouth rights checks your dignity may not be able to cash." The room froze. For a heartbeat, even Karen's confidence slipped. Cameras caught her blinking, lips parted as if deciding whether to fight or fold. What no one knew, not yet, was that Judy already had the file. Inside it were screenshots, messages, and one short video that would turn this entire hearing inside out. Karen thought she was here to win an argument. She was here to meet accountability, dressed as entertainment. If you believe arrogance collapses faster than it speaks, subscribe now and comment your city below, because the next minute in this courtroom changes everything. The bailiff's voice cracked the hush. Case number 427, Dalton versus Officer Raymond. Karen adjusted her blazer and whispered, "Let's make it quick." She had no idea the quickest thing in the room would be how fast her facade would fall. The cameras caught the faintest smirk as Karen rolled her eyes toward the audience, her voice dripping with self-assured sarcasm. "Officer Raymond," she said, stretching his name like taffy. "Oh, you mean the guy who thinks flashing a badge makes him a hero?" A few muffled gasps rippled through the gallery. She wasn't defending herself anymore. She was performing. Judge Judy's gaze stayed fixed on her, still as stone. "You're speaking about a decorated veteran, Ms. Dalton," she said quietly. "Choose your words with care." Karen leaned on the podium, lips curled into a grin. "Veteran, huh? Well, maybe he should have stayed retired instead of bothering people who park for 2 minutes." Her laugh echoed thin and sharp. The bailiff shifted his stance, the studio air tightening. Judy didn't interrupt. She simply turned a page in the folder before her, deliberate as a surgeon revealing an X-ray. "According to the report," she said, "you refused to move your car from a disabled space. When approached, you called the officer." She paused, reading slowly. "A one-legged traffic clown. Is that accurate?" Karen's face twitched, but she forced another smile. "It was a joke. You people really can't take humor." "You mean cruelty," Judy corrected. "There's a difference." The room grew heavy again. Even the audience seemed to shrink in their seats. The narrator's voice cut through the tension, low and measured. She came to score laughs, but the punchline was about to change hands. Because the man she mocked had a record longer than her excuses, and soon everyone would see it. Judy closed the file. "Ms. Dalton, the officer you insulted lost his leg in Afghanistan. He saved 3 civilians before the explosion that took it." Karen froze. The smirk evaporated. That's not what I meant." Judy's eyes didn't blink. "Intentions don't heal wounds." The gallery murmured softly, a mix of disbelief and quiet anger. The bailiff looked toward Judy for a cue, but she only lifted her pen, tapping it once against the desk. "Do you still consider your comments humorous?" Karen swallowed. "It was taken out of context." "Context doesn't resurrect respect," Judy replied. The narrator slipped back in. "Every courtroom has a temperature. This one had just dropped 20 degrees. For the first time, Karen felt what she never expected. Silence heavier than applause. Then Judy looked directly into the camera lens, her words measured and precise. "This is not about parking tickets or fines. This is about decency." Karen's eyes darted to the red recording light. The same lens she once used to mock others was now pointed at her, and for the first time the narrator whispered. She realized exposure cuts both ways. Judge Judy's fingers brushed the edge of the manila folder again, but this time she didn't open it. She let the tension do the talking. Every camera light burned red, every head in the courtroom angled toward her desk. "Ms. Dalton," she said at last, "before we proceed, I want to clarify something. You uploaded a video the same day as this incident, didn't you?" Karen hesitated. I may be. I post a lot of content. I don't remember every upload. Judy nodded, the motion barely perceptible. Then allow me to help refresh your memory. She looked to the bailiff. Mr. Turner, please read the exhibit title. The bailiff unfolded a printout. Video titled, When Fake Heroes Try to Play Cop, published 3 hours after the citation. A ripple of recognition moved through the gallery. Karen's complexion shifted from amusement to alarm. That was satire, she blurted. It was a joke video. Satire? Judy asked. Because the transcript reads like mockery. The bailiff continued reading, his tone steady. Look at this guy, he read. Limping around trying to tell me where to park. Maybe if he learned to move faster, he'd still have both legs. A collective gasp broke the air. Even Karen's bravado couldn't hold under its weight. Her voice cracked. I didn't. Someone edited that. It's out of context. Your username is clearly visible, Judy said, and the post came from your verified account. The camera zoomed in slowly, capturing the tremor that began in Karen's fingers as she gripped the podium. Her voice shrank to a whisper. I was angry. And now you're exposed, Judy replied softly. Not by me, by your own words. The narrator's tone grew quiet, nearly reverent. This was the moment when the laughter she lived on turned into silence she couldn't escape. There's no punchline when the truth becomes the joke. Judy leaned forward. Do you know what happened after you posted that video, Ms. Dalton? Karen shook her head faintly. The officer you mocked received hate messages. His children were sent clips of your post by classmates. He hasn't returned to work since. Karen's breath hitched, her confidence collapsing in stages. I didn't mean for that to happen. You never do, Judy said, her voice level. That's what makes carelessness so destructive. It doesn't announce itself. It just spreads. For a moment, the entire courtroom was still. The gallery, the cameras, even the bailiff, all motionless as if holding their breath. Judy tapped the folder once more, then closed it. We'll continue, she said. But from this point forward, remember, every word you've ever spoken has already testified. The narrator ended the part with quiet finality. The evidence was in. The defense was her own voice. And soon, the verdict would be her reflection. Karen's fingers twitched against the podium, the sheen of confidence melting into something raw, confusion mixed with fear. The cameras caught everything, her darting eyes, the faint tremor in her chin, the way her tongue pressed nervously against the corner of her cheek. Judge Judy leaned back slightly, her voice calm but cutting. Ms. Dalton, you seem very quick to record others. Tell me, how does it feel to be the one under the lens? Karen tried to laugh, but it cracked halfway out. You're twisting this, Judge. It's just social media. It doesn't mean anything. Judy's tone didn't waver. Tell that to the officer who couldn't leave his home for 3 days because of the harassment your joke inspired. She paused, letting each word settle. Social media is like fire, Ms. Dalton. You can cook with it or you can burn down your own house. You chose the second. The narrator's voice threaded between the silence. Every courtroom has a moment when the truth stops being paperwork and starts being pain. This was that moment. Karen straightened, but her voice was smaller now. You don't understand. People post things all the time. It's just content. No, Judy said, eyes narrowing. It's character. Content fades, character stays. And right now, yours is on trial. A murmur rippled through the gallery, subtle but undeniable. The once dismissive smirks were gone. The audience watched a slow undoing, one sentence at a time. Karen exhaled sharply, trying to reclaim her old rhythm. This whole thing is ridiculous. I came here to fight a ticket, not get lectured about morality. Judy tilted her head. Then perhaps you should have behaved like someone who only had a ticket to fight. The line hit like a quiet gavel. Even the bailiff's brow lifted slightly. Karen's lips tightened. I'm being treated unfairly. I have rights. And you've exercised every one of them, Judy replied. Speech without restraint. Action without consequence. But here, Ms. Dalton, the bill for both comes due. The narrator's voice slipped in again. She wasn't being attacked, she was being mirrored.
Every word she'd thrown into the world was coming back, unchanged, just louder.
Karen blinked rapidly as if the brightness of the lights had turned blinding. This is humiliating. No, Judy said, her tone softening only a fraction. This is honest. She paused, her next words landing like verdicts. You built a persona on tearing others down. But exposure works both ways. You can't profit off cruelty without paying in truth. Karen's shoulders sagged. Her voice, when it came, was barely audible. What do you want me to do? Judy didn't hesitate. Start by listening. It's a habit you've clearly avoided. The narrator ended quietly, and for the first time that day, Karen did something new. She stopped talking. The stillness that followed was unlike the silence before. It wasn't defiance anymore. It was realization, faint and uneasy, creeping in around the edges of Karen's pride. Judge Judy folded her hands, leaning forward slightly, her voice dropping to that careful register she used when she was about to draw blood, without ever raising her tone. Ms. Dalton, tell me something. When you mocked that officer, did you think he'd never see it? Or did you hope he would? Karen's mouth opened, then shut again. You don't know. Judy finished for her. You looked straight into your camera. You knew exactly what you were doing. Because humiliation only works when someone's watching. The narrator's voice entered softly, almost mournful. It wasn't cruelty for sport anymore, it was exposure as entertainment. The kind that fills views, not voids. Karen's eyes darted to the floor. It wasn't supposed to go that far. Judy turned another page in her file, crisp and deliberate. I've read your captions. Karma comes for everyone. Don't mess with me. Ring a bell? Karen nodded faintly, then caught herself. Everyone says things online. Everyone doesn't build a brand on them, Judy countered. And everyone doesn't end up in court proving them wrong. The audience stirred again, their whispers restrained but sharp. Karen's face reddened under the lights. Her voice rose defensively. Why are you judging my tone instead of the facts? Because tone is truth stripped of excuses, Judy said. It tells the story you're too afraid to say out loud. The narrator wove through the pause. It was surgical now, the kind of dismantling that doesn't humiliate. It teaches, and yet teaching always feels like punishment to those who never meant to learn. Karen pressed her lips together. So what happens now? You find me and call it a day? No, Judy replied. I remind you that decency is not optional, Karen scoffed weakly. You can't teach that with a lecture. You're right, Judy said, her eyes steady. That's why I'll use consequences instead. Karen's head snapped up. Consequences? You'll see, Judy replied. Or rather, so will everyone else. The narrator's voice deepened, a quiet drum roll beneath the words. Because what was coming next wasn't just about justice. It was about a lesson broadcast to anyone who ever thought cruelty made them clever. Judy turned slightly toward the bailiff. Mr. Turner, please cue the footage. Karen's brow furrowed. Footage? Yes, Judy said. The same footage you claimed was edited. We subpoenaed the full recording from your phone provider. You might want to brace yourself. A sharp breath left Karen's chest. Her mask slipped. For the first time since walking in, she looked small, like someone who just realized the internet had a memory longer than her excuses. The narrator closed the part softly. The moment wasn't just turning, it was unraveling. And the truth waiting in that video would do what her words never could. Show the world exactly who she'd been when she thought no one was looking. The screen flickered to life behind the bench, and the room's hum fell away. Every eye turned to the flat glow of the monitor. The video opened with a shaky frame, Karen's voice loud and mocking from behind the camera. Look at this guy, acting like he owns the lot. Bet he printed that badge at home. Her laughter filled the speakers, brittle and hollow in replay. On screen, the officer limped closer, speaking politely, asking her to move. His tone was calm, almost apologetic. Ma'am, this space is reserved for disabled drivers. Karen's voice answered, sharp as a slap. Oh, so now you're the disability police? Then she zoomed in on his prosthetic leg, whispering something cruel enough that the gallery collectively inhaled. When the clip ended, there was no music, no cue, no reaction, just that raw, heavy silence that lingers after something shameful has been said too loud to take back. Karen stood frozen. Even the cameras hesitated before panning back to her face. Judge Judy's eyes didn't move from the screen. Is that context enough for you, Ms. Dalton? Karen's voice cracked. I wasn't thinking. It was supposed to be funny. Was it? Judy asked. Because I don't hear laughter. I hear cruelty disguised as confidence. The narrator's voice returned like a slow tide. The difference between comedy and cruelty is empathy. One laughs with, the other laughs at. Only one survives the replay. Karen's hands trembled. I took it down, she said, barely audible. Judy closed her folder. After 3 days. By then it had 300,000 views. You can't unring a bell once you've enjoyed the sound. Her words landed without anger, without volume. That was the power of them, measured, certain, inevitable. Karen whispered, I didn't know who he was. You didn't care who he was, Judy corrected. And that's worse. The gallery stayed still, reverent almost. The moment had turned from confrontation to something colder. Accounting. The narrator spoke again. Every courtroom has a heartbeat. At that moment, this one was slowing to a truth Karen couldn't outrun. She hadn't been exposed by a judge, a cop, or a camera. She'd been exposed by her own reflection. Judge Judy took off her glasses and placed them neatly on the desk. Ms. Dalton, you've made a career of ridiculing others. Consider today your mirror. And mirrors don't lie. Karen's chin trembled. Are you done? Not yet, Judy said. Because you haven't learned anything if all you feel is embarrassment. You'll understand the difference by the end of this hearing. The narrator closed the part softly. The evidence was undeniable. The humiliation complete, but what was coming next wasn't vengeance, it was consequence. The kind that doesn't trend online but lingers where guilt does its quietest work, in the soul. Judge Judy didn't speak right away. She let the quiet breathe like a teacher waiting for the room to feel its own weight. Karen's chest rose and fell in uneven rhythm, her bravado now stripped to nerves. Judy finally leaned forward, her elbows resting on the bench. "Ms. Dalton," she began, voice steady and surgical, "you've built a brand around exposing others. Today we've exposed something else, the truth about what that costs." Karen swallowed hard. "I already said I'm sorry." "No," Judy said. "You said you're embarrassed. That's not the same thing." The gallery listened, spellbound, as Judy's tone shifted from judgment to reflection. "Do you know why your video went viral, Ms. Dalton? Not because it was funny. Because people recognized something in it, an ugliness that hides behind laughter. You made someone's dignity a prop, and now you're standing where that prop stood." Karen's hands twisted together. "So what, you're going to ruin my life over a stupid mistake?" Judy shook her head slowly. "No, I don't ruin lives. I remind people what they've forgotten." She turned to the bailiff. "Mr. Turner, please record the following sentence." Karen blinked. "Sentence?" "Yes," Judy said evenly. "You're fined the maximum, $500, and required to issue a written apology to Officer Raymond." "But that's the easy part." Karen's brows furrowed. "There's more?" "There's understanding," Judy replied. "You will complete 40 hours of community service at the Providence Veterans Center. You'll serve meals, fold flags, and learn the kind of humility that doesn't come with filters or followers." Karen stared at her, stunned. "You can't make me—" "I just did," Judy interrupted. "And I'll make sure every hour is verified." A low murmur moved through the courtroom, half approval, half disbelief. Judy tapped her gavel lightly once. "This isn't about punishment. It's about perspective. Maybe you'll find some when you stop looking at the world through your own camera." The narrator's voice entered softly. That was the line that cracked the room open. Not harsh, not loud, but final. The kind that doesn't humiliate. The kind that transforms. Karen's lip trembled. For the first time, she didn't argue. She just nodded faintly, eyes glistening. "I understand," she whispered. Judy studied her for a long moment, then spoke with quiet gravity. "Good. Then perhaps we can close this with some dignity. The kind that's earned, not performed." The narrator returned. For once, the courtroom wasn't cheering for a verdict. It was witnessing a reversal. The woman who lived by exposure had been stripped of it, left only with truth, raw and unscripted. Judy's voice softened even further. "Ms. Dalton, every person who's ever stood here has a story. Some learn too late that pride is a poor witness. Don't be one of them." Karen nodded again, silently this time. Her voice had run out before her excuses did. And in that silence, the narrator concluded, "You could hear what justice sounds like when it stops performing and starts teaching." Days later, the courtroom lights were long gone, but their echo followed Karen everywhere she went. The headlines had done their work. Obese Karen humbled by Judge Judy, the clip that broke the internet. She'd always wanted to go viral, but not like this. For the first time, her face wasn't framed by filters or angles. It was raw,